Hi and welcome. I want to update this course, and the way that I want to update it is by creating a simple web page that will utilize some CSS. Okay, so if you've been watching this HTML course, you've watched the entire thing, you'll realize that I didn't do much on CSS, and that is why I want to create a simple web page that will enable you to learn something about CSS. So if you look over here, you'll see that I have this code, and of course you'll receive all these files. So if you go to the same location in which the other one was uploaded, you'll find this file and you'll be able to download it and use it to follow along with me. Now this is just a simple page that has the HTML that we're going to start with. So of course you know all about this HTML header. Then I've also added this, then there's this, then there's this meta. This is the one that enables responsiveness. If you want to use media queries, you need to add this on your web page. Media queries are a way to make your web page responsive. And then there we have the title, and then we have the link to the style.css. I haven't created this yet. I will create this. And then we have a link to a favicon. So I have a favicon here. So if I open this in the browser, you'll see that we have our favicon there. So you can just create a small image, PNG image, and then put it anywhere and link to it here. So in the body, we have all these different elements. Okay, now when I was doing the HTML tutorial, I mostly used divs. Divs, as I said, is a way to separate content, and then you use the divs to style them. So if you put a class inside of a div, you'll be able to style whatever is inside of this div using the class or the ID that you define for this class. In HTML5, there's something we call Semantic HTML. So Semantic HTML, these are things that are descriptive. So like something like header, you see a header is very descriptive. If someone sees this, they just know that this is the heading, the header part of the body. This is where you'll have things like the navigation. You can even have things like the header image. So we are going to have something similar to that, and then we'll have something called section. So a section is somewhat like div, but it is descriptive. It somewhat describes related items. So you can also use it the same way as a div. And then we also have a footer. So the footer, these are elements that you can put in your footer in the footer of your page. So in Semantic HTML, there are different HTML tags that you can use, different HTML blocks. For example, a nav is very descriptive. You just know that this is a navigation. The other tags that we may have that may fall under this category of Semantic HTML, these are things like main. So the main, of course, if you put this in a page, it will be like the main content of the page, and then you can have an aside. An aside will be things like on a sidebar. If you've seen most websites, they usually have a sidebar. So things on the sidebar you can put in the aside, and then the main content of the page there. Maybe it's a blog post, the blog content and anything else in there, images, comments and everything, you can put that in a main, in the main section. And then an article, this can be articles. If you have posts, you can put posts in here, or if you have lists of certain things in an aside area, you can put them inside of an article. And the footer, as the name suggests, this is for elements in the footer. And then for header, these are elements in the header, such as the navigation. And then the nav, this describes the navigation elements. So in the next video, let's get started in creating a simple web page. And just a word of caution, I haven't really prepared any code for this. So we are going to do it step by step, and you'll see me make errors here and there, and that's normal. So I will see you in the next video when we continue from here. And if you haven't watched the videos before this, make sure you watch all the other videos so that you can understand HTML, because this is not going to be as basic as the things we've covered throughout the course. Okay? See you in the next video. So if you're watching this course in the full HTML tutorial, full HTML and CSS tutorial, then you don't need to worry about CSS, because you'll find that CSS has been covered. Therefore, you're safe. You can watch the videos and just understand everything as it is, because a lot was covered also in CSS. So if you haven't watched the CSS course, then you may need to go and join that course and just watch everything that I talked about in CSS, because I did cover a lot. If you're watching this course in the What is HTML course, then you may need to go and join that CSS course, because I'm not going to cover a lot of things in CSS. I'm just going to be using CSS. So you'll just see me use them, and maybe once in a while I'm going to explain things. But if you want to learn more, go and join the CSS course, because even there I will update more items. But if you're already in the HTML and CSS course, then you have nothing to worry about. So let's get started right away, and I want to start by creating different elements in our page. So we are going to have a header, a heading part, which is going to have an image, is going to have our navigation, and it's also going to have our logo. Okay, and then we're going to have the body items. These are the main items in our page, where we're going to have different elements. We're going to have a bit of text and maybe some image as well. And then in the footer, I'll see if there's need for the footer. I'll add something. If there's nothing, I'll just delete that. So it's also important for you to know that you can use divs. If you want to use divs, you can use divs. Okay, but the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to try and use some of these HTML5 blocks. So let's start by the header. So in the header, let's add an element here, which is going to be our logo. Okay, so the best way to put the logo is to use the A element. So this is going to be a link. Let's just put a placeholder there, and then we add an image. So if I add an image in here, this image is going to be our logo. Whatever image where I put this image is going to be our logo, and I don't have an image right now. Let me just go and find an image that I can put here and use as our logo for now. So inside of images here, inside of this folder, I have a couple of images. So I'm going to use logo.jpg as my logo image. So as I've shown you in the past, if you want to link to an image, then you have to do it this way. You go into the folder and then the name of the image. So there we go. So this is going to link to our image, and that's it for this video. In this video, we've added our image, and in the next video, let's add a navigation, and then we'll continue adding all the other elements. And then in the end, we are going to preview the HTML before we start styling it. So I'll see you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. So in the last video, we added a logo. So I also want to remind you that this course is more about CSS than it is about HTML. So I'm going to try and reduce the amount of HTML that I write. So if I find a place where I can do some shortcuts, I'm going to do them. Like in the nav, in this video, we're going to create a nav. So in the nav, in most cases, you'll find that navigations are created this way. You'll find a UL, and then inside of the UL, there'll be an LI, and then inside the LI, there will be an A tag. So I want to save time, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put A tags directly. Okay, I'm going to put A tags directly. Just know that this is a sample website. It's not doing anything meaningful. So, but before I put them here, let me at least put them inside of a div, which will enable me to style them. So if I put this div here, let me give it a class of navigation, I give it a class of navigation. Even this one, let me come back here and give it a class of logo, so that if I need to style it, it will be easy for me to style. So here I will put 1, 2, 3. So I have home. Maybe you can say something like about, or you can call them whatever you want, even contact. Control S. So once I've added some elements in the page, I'm going to reload it so that you can see what this site is all about. So there we have our div, we have our logo, we have our navigation. Let me see if there's anything I can add in this video before I end the video. So let's just assume that that's the end of our header. Okay, we have a logo and we have the navigation. Not really. We still need to add at least some content in here. Okay, so here I can use a div. Let me use a div so that I can have like a welcome. So inside of this div, let me put a h1, and then inside of this h1, let me say my name is Jack. So this is a website about Jack. Okay, welcome. Maybe I can add a button here, and the way that I want to add the button, let me just use this. As I said, I want to reduce the amount of HTML that I write. So I'll just say maybe contact me. This will just be a button, it won't do anything. And then let me give it a class. Let me give it a class of home button. Now, normally I like to write my CSS using camel cases. I like to write everything using camel cases, but most people you'll find they use this. Okay, I like to use camel cases in everything, whether it's HTML, PHP, Java, everything. I like to use camel case. Saves me a lot of time, and at least I usually know that's what I'm going to use. So we have that. We've added a button. We're going to style this. Right now it's still not a button. We're going to style it later on. Okay, so we have an introduction in our header. We have what's this? We have a navigation in our header, and we have a logo in our header. So in the next video, let's come to the body, and inside of the body we want to create different elements inside of the body. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. So in the last video we added all these elements in the header. Okay, if you didn't watch that video, just go back and watch it. Now in this video, let's add elements that will be inside of the page. So like, let's think in terms of a web page, right? There's maybe a header, and then there are items which will be inside of the page. Maybe these are the main items in the page, like the content in the page. So that's what I want us to add in here. So here, you know, you can also say that this is a main. It helps certain screen readers to know what the page is doing. So that's why sometimes you'll see people using this. It's for the screen readers, and it's also good for semantic purposes. It's easier to describe a web page using some of this, but at the same time you can also use a div. As I said, a div doesn't really have any particular meaning in HTML. A div is just a block that you can use to style elements. You can use it to group elements and style those elements. So in my case, let me first of all give this a div, right? I put things inside of a div, then I give it a class of main items, and then inside here of the div I want to put different things. Okay, I want to have an image, maybe somewhere here, an image. So let me show you what I mean. If I come here into my drawing tool, let's say in our page I want to have like an image here, and then have some text there, and then also another one I want to have an image here in the one that follows, and then have a text here. So this is what I want to create on the body of my HTML. Okay. And then once we have that, so we have something like that, and then with some text there, and then the next one has an image there and some text here, and then the next one, maybe I add like some images just here, and maybe a text there, and a text there. So that's what I want to create in the body of my page. So if I close this, no, let me group these in sections. Okay, so the first section, I'm going to have an image on one end, and then I'm going to have text on another, and I know I can just divide them using a div, using two divs. One div will be on this side, on this end, and the other div will be on the other end. So maybe this div, let me give it a class of content left. So this shows that the content on this one will be on the left side. And then also I add another div here, and this one will be content right. So whether it's text or image, I want this to be on the left, this to be on the right. So in the first one, let's put an image inside of this div. And then in the second one, we can put a paragraph. Okay. So this image, let me see which image I can use for the first one. If I come here, I can use this one. Let me start with this. And then I'll put it, the source, in there. So remember, the image also has these other attributes like alternative text. You can add all that. Okay, alternative text, you can put anything you want in here. It will be good for SEO purposes. When you're creating a real web page, make sure you add something in the alt attribute for your image. And then here we have a text. I can say, I am a happy guy. I bring happiness to people. So before I put this, let me add H1 here. H1, no, let me add H2. H2. Happiness. So this is the first section. Let's give the first section some kind of a title. H1, let's say my traits. So this will be the first section. It will have an image on the left, and then it will have some text on the right. Now I can just copy this, Control C, and then bring it down here. So this will be another section. Okay, so as I said, you can use divs for this. Okay, if you don't want to use these sections and all this, you can just fall back to divs. Actually, let me use something called article. So let me Control Z, then Control save this, and we're going to continue in the next video. So I will see you in the next video when we continue from here. So in this video, what I've done, I've just added this section, and in the next video you're going to see I'm going to add an article. I'm going to change this from this into an article. So I will see you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. This is where we ended in the last video. As I said, you can just put things in divs, or you can use one of those semantic HTML5 tags. Okay, we also have this one called article. You can use this. Okay, now I can put those things, all of them, these ones, the entire thing, I can put it as an article, just to group them as an article. And then let me bring the entire thing, Control X, inside of this article. And the reason that I want to do this is because I'm going to create another section down there, and it's a different section for the 3 images. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know. Okay, just let me know if you're having any doubts about anything that I'm doing. Now the next one is the next element, which is like the next article here. So for this one, I want to put the image on the left. Control X, let me bring it in here, and then I want to remove this from here, and I want to put them here. So as I said, there was one where the image was going to be on this end and the text was going to be on this end, and there's one where the image was going to be on this end and then text here. So that's what I'm doing. This is the one where the image will be on this side. So the image will be on the right and the content will be this side. So once I reload this page and we see what it is about, you're going to understand everything, what I'm trying to do anyway. I am a caring guy who takes care of everybody. Now the next thing in the body that I need to do is I need to add a section down here that will have all the 3, you remember, all the 3 images. There's one where I want 3 images. So for that one, I can put a section. Let me put that section right. So as I said, I haven't written this code in advance. I'm just writing as I go, and I'm trying to make it as simple so that I don't complicate the HTML in any way. So if I have this section down here, I want 3 different divs. I want 3 divs. So there's also something called a figure. You can use something called figure for images and videos, but let's not get into that. So here I'm going to do image, and then under the image we're going to have, let me put a paragraph under the image. So the first one was Huey. Let me put the first one as Riley. So once I reload this page, you're going to see what all this is about. Okay, so div, Control V, and the next one Huey, and then Control C, and then the next one is Granddad. And this section, let me give this section a title, H1. H1, my friends. All right, so let me add these images. I haven't added these images yet. Even for this one, I haven't added the right image. Which one was it? Yeah, this one. I haven't added the right image. Let me see which image is here. 3, yeah. Okay, so you saw a mistake there that I made .jpg. Make sure when you're adding images, you add the full name. Okay, so the full name for this is that, and then for the other one, the full name, you must include the extension. So where is the first one? The first one is here. I didn't add an extension There we go. And as I said, you're going to see a bunch of mistakes here and there. And if you see them, just know that I'm doing this off the fly. I don't have anything created in advance. So I'm going to start with the Riley. Control C. That's Riley. Oh, I haven't taken the name plus the extension. Where? There. And then the next one is Huey. And then Grandad. Grandad, where's Grandad? There we go. Control A, Control C. Then I put it there. Control V. Then if I save, let's go and view our page now on the browser. So open in a browser so that we can see our HTML. This is not how it's supposed to be. For some reason, my images are not showing, and I'll need to go back and find out why. And the reason why they're not showing, of course, you know why. We're going to see why they're not showing in the next video. So let's meet in the next video, and we're going to see how to rectify these images not showing. I will see you in the next video. Hi, and welcome back. In the last video, we ran our HTML and we saw that the images are not showing. So in this video, let's see why our images are not showing. So if I come back to my code, if I open Sublime, here, the reason why they're not showing is because the path has not been written correctly. So for this one, I have to put the img in there. I also have to add img in there. So always make sure that you go inside of the path. If you have a folder, go inside of the folder. Like in my case, all my images are in this folder, and I did not add the folder. So that's for those ones. And then for this one, also img. And then we have for this one too, img. So just with that, if I come back and I reload the page, you'll see that our images are now showing. Okay. So our images are there. Our content is there, and yet we don't have any CSS to style our page. So the next step, of course, is to style the web page. So if I come here, we also have this footer. Yeah, let me just add this navigation down here in the footer, so that at least we can have something in the footer, but I don't really want to put anything there. It doesn't really matter if I put or don't put anything in there. And then let me close this navigation. I can see navigation has not been closed. Close the navigation. Let me just call it footer navigation. Okay, so we can start styling our web page. And as I said, I still don't even have this created, style.css. So let me create that. I'll just come in here, create a new file, Control S so that I can save it. And then I will save it as style.css. So you remember about selectors, we say that you can use HTML elements as selectors. Okay, so you can use this as selectors. And if you want to learn more about these selectors, I have written a couple of HTML and CSS tutorials on my site. So if you go into bizanosa.com, I don't know where they are, let me just find them. And then I scroll down, let me go into as long as anywhere you can see categories, just go into HTML, CSS tutorial, and I have a bunch of really useful HTML and CSS articles that also have some videos from the courses. So about selectors, it starts here, understanding CSS selectors. So this will show you something about selectors, this will also show you something about selectors, and this will show you something about selectors. Once you read all these three, you're going to understand selectors really well. Okay, so you see I still have something here about CSS selectors, pseudo selectors. So just go into bizanosa.com. okay, just go anywhere about that has categories, you're going to find. Then you go into HTML. Even here, if you come, you can just choose a category for HTML, CSS tutorial, and then on this page you come and look for these items that have CSS selector. It starts from 20. This number 20 goes to 21, 22, and 23. So once you read all this, I did a very intensive tutorial about that in this. Okay, it's even more intensive than what I covered in the CSS tutorial. There's so much more that I didn't put in the video tutorials that you're going to find here. So once you come here and you watch this, you're going to understand it really well. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me. Okay, so if I come back here, body, let me just make the font size, the base, I'm only going to put one thing with pixels. Okay, and that is the base font. I'm going to put the base font with pixels, and the rest of the items I'm going to use something called rem. So you're going to see me do that. Let me just give it a width of 100, and for the width I'm only going to use percentages. There are lots of other measurements you can use, but I'm only going to use percentages. And then let me make the color white. The color for text, let me make it white. So the rest of the things I'm going to be changing them as we go on. If I come here and you select anything, you can inspect with Firebug. Firebug is no longer being actively developed, and therefore I would suggest use the inbuilt one, which you can also get to via Ctrl+Shift+K. If you just press Ctrl+Shift+K, it will bring you this. If I click on that, it brings it down here. If you want it to be floating, you click there and it will float. If you click there, it will come down here. So I'm using Firefox, but if you're using Chrome, you know, the same thing you can do with Chrome. Just press F12 and you'll be able to follow along. In the next video, let's continue on. Let's start styling our elements. Actually, I made a mistake. The color shouldn't be white, you see. The color shouldn't be white. The color should be black. Where is that? If I come here, let's make the color, let's make it 222, just close to black but not black. And if you do that, everything is now visible. What I meant to put as white was the background, but the background is white by default. But anyway, let's continue in the next video so that we can see how we can style this page the way that we want it to appear. So I will see you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. So we're going to start styling our web page. So we want to style this web page such that this will be here and this will be somewhere here, and there will be an image background, and then this will be a button, and then this will be our menu navigation, and we're going to have it somewhere here. So let's just get started with making the body width 100%, and some of these things are not going to be 100%. Let's go back to the code and we see how we are going to style them. Let's start up here. Up here we have the header. Okay, so I can put a class here and style this using that class, but I'll just use this header. Here in the header, we have a logo, we have this, and we also have this. So let me give this a class of welcome. You can call it anything you want as long as you know what it is about. Welcome, or let me call it intro. So header, the first thing with header, I want to give this header a background. So header, there we go. And let me use this guy to help me. I want to use this to help me. What's the point of having this if it's not going to help me? So let me go inside. I click on header, and I can click here to add a rule, and the one that I want is background. You see, it will make your work very easy in writing CSS. URL. Now let me choose an image here. Select the entire thing, Control A, Control C, and then click there. So you can add this and that, and then we put img / the link to the image, and that is going to give us a background. And then after that, you can have something like no repeat. Just that will be enough. So you can see we have a background here, and at least, okay, it's still not showing well, but we're going to make it show up well. Okay, you can put it center. Now let it start at 0. If I come here and I copy that code in here, Control V. How about we give this a position of relative? Okay, so close that for a moment, reload, and you'll see we have a background here, but we're going to make it look much better, much better. That's just a start, because we still need to put the image, the logo this side, and we have this on the other side. So let's continue in the next video when we put this on this other end, and this we make sure it's on this other end. So I'll see you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. So in this video, we're going to put this on this side and this on the other side, okay? And we're going to do anything else that we can do before time is up. If I come back here, I want to put this on the left and this on the right, okay? And I just realized that it would be very smart of me if I could add a div here. Let me add a div so that I can group both of them. And the reason I want to add this div is so that it will enable me to at least make these guys float, to clear both of them so that it doesn't affect these guys. I don't want to add any other div inside here. You've probably seen classes like clear, which will clear items to make sure that nothing is on the left and nothing on the right. You'll see what I mean. So if I give this a class header nav, okay, it will have our logo and it's going to have our navigation. So the first thing I want to do with this header nav, Control S, is let me come here and say dot header nav clear both And then let's also say margin bottom, so that it can push things down. Let's say maybe 2 rem. So what is rem? You can see up here I used pixels, and I said the only time I'm going to use pixels is here. So this rem is always going to be rem 2 times of this base item that I have, this base pixels. So that's why I'm using rem, because it always takes the base item, and in my case the base is 16 pixels, so it's always going to be 2 times 16, or if I use 3 it's going to be that times that. So you can watch all that in the CSS class. I did a very in-depth tutorial about units in CSS. So header nav, let's say we've cleared both. Header nav, we have cleared both, and then we want to make this logo float on the left. Control C, dot logo, let's make it float on the left. Float left, and then navigation, nav dot navigation, this one to float on the right. Control C, we come here, and then our nav dot navigation will float on the right. This one will float on the right. What else can I do here? Let me just go back to the browser and reload and see which changes we've made. So if I reload this, okay, you can see this is on the left, but this is somewhat fixed here. Let's also push this one down. So if I come here, let's see why. Header nav, clear both, margin bottom, 2 rem. First of all, let's give this guy, where is it? Intro. So intro dot intro. Let's give this a margin top. Let's push it down. If I give it a margin top, that's going to push it down. Let's do something like 5 rem. We see up to where that's going to go. Even 8 rem. And then let's make this 0 so that we see. Okay. So instead of giving this margin, let's give it padding. Padding top, and that should fix our problem. There we go. And also I can see that I need to add something to the body element. Now on the body element, you can see we're having some margins here. These are caused by the browser. You'll find that most designers will add an initializer CSS, which does away with every browser CSS. So let me come here and add something on the body, and here on the body I want to add margin. Let me give a margin of 0 all around, and just with that, if I reload the page, it will give everything 0. Okay, so let's continue in the next video, and in the next video let's see how we can make these elements look better. Hello and welcome back. Let me close this so that I can preview this nicely. Okay, so let me go and make this a little better. So if I come back here, and where's our intro? So here in intro we can do padding. Okay, now padding can be done this way. You can do padding top. Padding introduces space. Okay, so like if I do padding bottom, it's going to introduce space down there, like the space in here. That could be like a padding. So it's like the space around an element. You can do padding left, you can do padding right, but there is a shortcut for doing all this in one line. So I want to do padding at the top. Let me put 12 rem, and then that will be top and bottom. If I just do it this way, it's going to be left, right, top and bottom. That will be the padding. But if I add something here, let me add 4 rem. So if I add 4, it's going to be 12 at the top, 12 at the bottom, and then 4 on the left and 4 on the right. So if I come here, so you'll see that the space has been increased. So what that line did, the padding, it added 12, a space of 12 rem here, and a space of 12 rem here, and then 4 on this side and 4 on this side. Okay, so since I know that this side is 4 rem, I can add the same to this so that they can be on the same line. I want everything to be on the same line. And you know, we have a navigation here. I'm getting to that. Even this one, we're going to change the color. I'm getting to that. So let me come back here, and inside of intro, let me change the color to white. 1, 2, 3. If I change the color to white, that's going to change the color of this text in here to white. And then we're going to get to that. For now, let me push this one on this. So logo, there we go. Let's give it a margin left of 4 rem, Control S. And then if I reload that, so it's going to be in the same line, but I also want to push it down a little bit. So push both of them down. Header nav, you remember header nav contains the navigation and the logo. So I can give this a padding of at the top. Let me do 2 rem, so that, let me just do that as an example so that I can see. Yeah, you can see it pushes this one on this side. This one also, let me move it this side. Let me give it a, not margin, but padding. Let me give it a padding on the right of 4 rem. And then, so then this, I want all the links. Let me give them a color of, let me give them a color of white. Font, let me just do font size first. Font size, let me do 1.5 rem. That will increase the size of that font. And then what else can I do? Text decoration, none. That will remove the underline. And then I also want to give them a padding. Now, as I said at the top, let me give 1 rem. Now at the top, let's just leave it at 0. And then on the left and right, let us do a padding of let's try with 1 rem so that we can see. So what that will do, it has increased the size, but for some reason the padding has not been added. So if the padding has not been added, let me just do it here. Inspect element with the Q, and if I inspect padding right, oh yeah, that's because I did padding right. This is a mistake on my part. I'm supposed to do padding, not padding right here. So if I reload this, it should add some space there. So also, if you want to continue adding the space in here, you can add it. Let me come in here and add that padding. It was in header Was it in header? No, it's in intro. So padding on top is 12, padding left and right is 4 rem, but I want to increase the padding on the bottom. How do I do that? So I can actually just override this. You know, the easiest way for me to do it is for me to override the padding of the bottom and maybe say the padding at the bottom should be 16 rem. So it's going to do all the rest, but this is going to override the padding that I have for bottom here. So if I come here and I reload, you should push this down a little bit. I can even make it 20 while the screen is big. You see, I can even make it 21. Let me make it 22 and see. You want it to cover the entire screen. There we go. So this can be your header, your welcome screen. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is to make this a button. So in the next video, let's come here and make this a button, and any other CSSs that we need to change, we're going to change them later, not now. Okay, so I will see you in the next video when we continue from here. Meanwhile, if you have any question, make sure you let me know, because I know I'm going a little fast, and that's because I want to finish this course. I want to finish these updates as soon as possible so that I can push them out to you. And if you have any questions, you let me know. So if you have any questions, make sure you let me know, okay? Do not suffer in silence. And if you haven't left a review for the course, go ahead and leave your review, okay? Feel free to reach out. I will see you in the next video when we come to style this button. So this is where we ended the last video. And in this video, what I want to do, I want to make this a button, and I also want to increase the font of this. So let me go back in here and let's find the style that we need. So here we have intro and home button. Okay, so what I want to do, let me just copy this, and then it's a dot home button. So what this does, a dot home button, this just means that these are like items in the same line, like this and this, they're in the same line, they're being affected by both this and also being affected by that. Anything that is in here, you can use intro. If I was doing intro, you're going to see me use intro and h1, and I'm going to add something that looks like that, or you can even do just a space. So you're going to see all that. If you've watched the CSS tutorial, you know how to use selectors. That's exactly what this is. Now a.home button. Now I want to make it a button, and the first thing I have to do to make it a button, let me change its color. Let's change the color to white. Why not? Everything is white on our header. So let's make it that white. And then let's give it a padding. Let's give it a padding. Padding at the top, let's say 1 rem at the top. And then on both sides, let's do 3 rem, we see. And then something else that's going to make it look like a button, we add a border. So a border, let's make the border 2 pixels. Yeah, this is also somewhere else that I'm using pixels, but it doesn't matter because it's very small. So 2 pixels, and then we want it to be a solid border, and we want the color of that border to be white. Okay, we want something like this. If I reload the page, this is how it is. And you can also see that we still have this. So let me come down here and remove text decoration none, so that it can remove the underline. And also this 1 rem seems to be a lot, so I could do something like 0.5 rem. Let's just see how this is going to be. And if I do this, you see that's our button right there. You can make it bigger. Let's come here and make it bigger. How do I make it bigger? Let's increase the font size. Let's do 3. Let's just do 2 rem, and it's probably going to collide with something at the top. Okay, so you can see that has increased this, and then let's increase the size of this, and we're going to increase the size dramatically. So it's intro. If we come here, my name is Jack is under intro h1. So how do I select that? If I want to select that, let me copy this .intro, the class of .intro, and then h1. So this is going to work. This could work, even this could work, even that could work. This means that it's just a child of this. It's directly under this, and it is not inside of anything else. Okay, so let me just use this. So this one, font size, let's make this dramatically big and make it 5 rem. So if I come and I reload, you'll see this is dramatically big, but maybe we don't want it to be that big. Okay, so what we can do is come here and reduce this down to 3 rem. Yeah, that seems okay. And we can add spaces here if you want to, but I think that's just fine. Okay, maybe you may want a situation whereby when you hover, it changes color. Okay, so let's do a hover. So this one, let me copy this entire thing such that when I hover a.button, add that, and then hover, the color of the text is going to be, let's do 222, and then background color is going to be white. So this is like black. So when I hover, the button is going to be background of white, and the color is going to be, the color of the text is going to be black. Let's just experiment. There we go. See? So when I hover, that happens. You can add the same effects here. Okay, let's just go and add the same effects here. Where was our navigation? So navigation A, let's just copy this, Control A, Control C, and just under it, down there, A, let's add .hover. So as I told you, go to selectors. I told you on bizanosa.com, just go to categories and look for HTML, CSS tutorial, and you're going to find lots of useful information about CSS selectors. So let's say when we hover, we add some background, a background color. We don't really need this. We're not going to change this. When we hover, we add a background color of something that is slightly gray. Okay, so if I reload this, let's see which color that is. Okay, that's terrible. That's terrible. Okay, instead of making it slightly gray, let's make it further black, very far away from black. We reload that. Okay, yeah, that seems to be better. Seems to be better. So in most cases, when you're building websites, you'll have all the colors you need. You should have all the colors that you need in advance, so that you don't have to test out things like I'm doing. I'm just doing this to show you that you can do this. Okay, let's just say that you're done with this bit. If there's anything you want to change here, go ahead and change it. If you want to take this and put it on this other end, it's entirely up to you. You try different things. Now let's come down here, and down here what I want to do is I want to give this elements the same position as this, and I think it was for rem. So if I come here, and I remember clearly, I gave them a div, I gave them something to group everything together, and that was the class of main. So the class of main, I can make them, so here in the class of main, okay, dot main, if it is a class, use dot. I haven't used any identities. If it is an identity, use the pound. So margin, let me do padding, and then let's say padding at the top, okay, let it be 3 rem at the top and bottom, and then 4 rem on both sides, like that. So if I come and I reload this, so it's going to bring everything together for me like that. And as we said, this is going to be a heading, this is going to be an image, I think, on the left, and this is going to be an item here on the right. So let me make that happen in the next video. So if you have any question, okay, just make sure you ask. If you have any question, let me know what questions you have, and I will see how to assist you. So I'll see you in the next video when we continue from here. Hi and welcome back. So in this video, what you want to do is we want to make this float on the left and this float on the right, and the same will happen for this after we add the CSS. Okay, so let's go right away into the code and see how to do that. So if I come here inside of Sublime, I go here, you can see we have our content left, we have our content right, okay, and we have all these items. This is also important. Everything is inside of main, and inside of main we have one section, and then we have inside of this section we have articles. I decided to divide everything in articles, and this is going to be very helpful because it's going to save us time in styling. So what I'm going to do first of all is let me make what's supposed to be on the left be on the left, and what's supposed to be on the right be on the right. So let me Control C to copy this. So if I come here, content left, let me add a dot there because it is a class, and then I will give it a width. Let me see if 50% is going to collide with anything. So I give it 50%, and then I make it float on the left. So if I make it float on the left, it will be on the left. And then let me come back and copy the content.right items. So if I come in here and I give this a width, let me give it a width of 50%, and then I make it float on the right. Just with that, if I come back here, although there are still things that I need to do, if I come here and I reload, you'll see that this is now on the left, this is on the right, but I want there to be some space in between and before and after. So if I come here, let me see, the first item that I want to give spacing is article. So article, you can see that this article is colliding with this, but this is because of images, and this article is going all the way up here. This is another section, and this is another section, and they're also colliding. So I'm going to give them the same style. Just bear with me and watch what I do. So I'm going to start from main and select article, main, section, article, okay? And then I'm also going to give main and section the same styling. So let me come here, dot main, section, and if you want to give lots of different things the same styling, this is how you do it, okay, with a comma. Then I'm going to give it also main. Let me copy this, Control C, Control V, article, okay. Now these elements are colliding. What I need to do is I need to make them clear on both ends, and then I also need to give it, let me give them a margin bottom. Okay, margin at the bottom of 3 rem, 3 rem. Then if I save this and I come back and I reload, you're going to see that at least that's happening. But now the only problem that we have is that the images are going all the way. Let me give them a width, and if I give it a width of like 90% or 80%, it's not going to go all the way through. So if I give it a width, it is going to be the width of the space or the container where it is. So let me give this image a width, and this image also a width. So let me come here and let's see which is a better alternative. Now, content left image, content right image. Yeah, I can use the same. I can use the same styling for both of them. So Control C, and let me put that here. .img. So what this means that any image which is under this will get these same styles. Then I want the same to be true of images in here. So this is going to affect 2 different elements. So let me make those images. Let me give them a width. Let me give it max. Let me use max width. Max width of 90%. 90%. And then I can also do a little bit of padding of 1 rem. So let's see if I reload this. Okay. Let me remove the padding. The padding is taking away something there. So padding 1 rem at the top. Let me give this height 0, and then this, let's make it 80%. So if I reload and make it 80, so what I can do is I can just target this, because this is the one that seems to be having problems. This one, let's give it a padding. Padding on the top, let's just leave it at 0. Then padding on the left, let's make the padding on the left 4 rem, and then down, let's make it 3 rem. Actually, this one, let's make this one 0. So at the top it's 0, on the left, on the right I mean, it's 0, and then at the bottom is 3, and then on the left, let's make it 4 rem. If I reload, you see, this one comes down here. That's not what we want. Okay, and the reason it's coming down is because of something called box sizing. I need to add some box sizing in there. Even still, this image at 80, let's just give it a width. Oh my god, this is max, not min. No wonder I'm having problems. Okay, this is max width, not min width. No wonder I'm having problems. So let me comment this for a moment. What else did I add? So let me reload this. And if I reload, you see the image sizes have somewhat reduced. Okay, so 80 seems to be a little small. Let's see what 90 does for us. 90. So this was max width. This makes sure that the image does not pass this at any point. So the percentage of the container in which it is, 90% of that. Okay, even 90% is good. That's good. And let's see what else we need to change here. These traits, let's make them really, really huge. And the way that I want to make them huge, let's go back and see how to select that. So if I want to select traits, I'll go to main section H1. So if you come into main section, Control V, even this I can remove, main section H1, and font size, let's make it 4 rem. 4 rem, save, and if I come back and I reload, you see the font has dramatically increased. So you can add any styling that you want for it. If you want to add any other styles for this, you can add them as you want to. So let's add some space, but the video is becoming too long and I don't like to edit long videos. I find it very tiresome and extremely boring. So I will see you in the next video. Okay? And if you have any questions, just let me know. I will see you next time when we continue styling this page. Hi, welcome back. You know what? Now you know how you can put this on this end and this on this end, but I want to take this and put it on this other end. So if you want to do it, you saw how I did it, and you can just do it in the same manner. So if I come, where was it? Here. I want this image. So Control X, and I want it here, and then I will take this Control X and put this inside here. So if I come back and I reload, you'll see that the image is on this side and the text is on this side. I want to go ahead and increase the size of this. So if I come back here, let me see how to select this. So content right, H2, content right, P, content left. It is the same thing. Yeah. Content right, this is content left, contains the image, content right contains the text. So content right, H2, and content right, paragraph. That's what we need to target. Okay. So content right, let me come, Control V, content right, H2. Which size do we give this? Font size, let's give it 2 rem. And then just copy the same thing, content right, paragraph. We give it 1.5 rem. So if I reload, let me see how that will be. Reload. Okay, something is up. What did I choose? Content right, H2, and content right. Oh yeah, that's content P. Let's do 3. We see if this is going to have any effect. So there we go. So if you want to add any more images, you can just do it in the same manner that I've done inside of my code. So the next step is this. Let me add something here that will enable me to bring this guy down. Okay. So if I come here, I want to add Control S. I want to add under, where is it? Before this section begins, I want to add a div, and I want to give it a class of clear. and then I want to come here and clear dot the class of clear. Let us give it a padding. No, let's give it a margin top of 4 rem, and then border. Let me give it a border top of 2 pixels. You know what? Let me just make it 1 rem. No, that's too huge. Let me make it 5 px. Then I want it to be solid, and let me give it this color of 77. Let's see how that works out. Okay. So the next thing that I need to give it is clear both, so that it doesn't hang here. Reload, and yeah, you can even add this on top here if you want to. You just copy it and put it up there. And then now for these ones, I want them to be in one line. And the way that I want to do this is I want to do it in a very small amount of code. So if I come here, I want to use, it is under section, and then it is, you know what? Let me give them a class. Friends. Yeah, let me just call it friends. Put the same class in here. Put the same class in here. And if I come here, give this dot friends. Dot friends. Let's give it display. First of all, let's make max width. Let's put a max width of 33%. And then inline. If I reload, okay. Let me see what may be up. Inspect element. Display inline. How about inline block? Yeah, let's do inline block. Inline block. Inline block. Let's make this 30%. Let's come here and friends dot friends img. Let's give it a width. Let's say a width of 90%. Yeah, there we go, 90%. Let's take this back to 33%, and we make this 99%. Reload. There we go. And then let's increase the font for this. And to increase the font of that, we know it is friends dot friends. Then target the paragraph. font size, let's say font size of 1.5 rem. So these are Jack's friends. There we go. So there is our web page. If there's anything you want to add, you can try and add anything. Okay, now we still have this. So in the next video, let's make this come on this end as well, and then we can end these tutorials. So I'll see you in the next video when we continue from here, and in the next video we're going to work on this section. See you then. Hi and welcome back. So in this video we're going to work on this. In the last video you saw how we made this look like this. So let's go to the code right now, and what we want to style is we want to make our navigation look like a small navigation on the footer. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, let me do footer, Control C. We have footer, we have nav, and we have this. So the first thing I want to do is, let's just say dot footer. No, it is not a class, it is an HTML tag, and I can just use it like that. Now footer, let's give it a width of 100% and a background color. Let's make it, I don't know which color this is, but it should be somewhere near white, just close to white. And then let's at least give it a padding. Let's say padding all around of 2 rem. We see the effect. So if I come and I reload this, okay, the color is there, but it's not very visible. Let me make it a more visible color. Let me take it somewhere like, yeah, we've used 77 before, so 77 is not bad. And then padding at the top 2 rem, and then this one, let me make it 0, because I'm going to pad the other elements differently. So, and then footer, we have, let me use this class, footer navigation dot footer navigation A. Let's remove, we want to remove the underline, and you know, to remove underline we use text decoration, and then text decoration none to remove the underline. And then font size, let's make it 1.5 rem. And then let me copy this, and just up here I want to put it so that it can be in the same line with the other guys. So the others were, it was a padding of, on the other side I can even give those sides 0, but this side left and right, let's give it 4 rem, so that it is on the same line with everything else on the page. And then font navigation A, let me change the color. Let's make the color white, why not? If I reload, there we go. Now of course I want to make this guys. If I come here, footer navigation A, I can add what is called padding on the left. If I add a padding on the left of maybe 1 rem to create some space, then that is going to give us this. Okay, and then down here let's finish by adding a copyright. So if I come, where is that? If I come here, let's add at least a copyright at the footer. You've seen copyrights in most footers. I will add the copyright here. So let me add it in a div and give it a class copyright. And I can even add it without a paragraph or anything. Let me just add it without the paragraph. So the HTML entity is and ampersand copy, that copyright my name is Jack 2017. There we go. And if I save this, Control S, let me see which styles. Okay, before I add the styles, let's see at least what we are styling. If I reload, and I will copy font size, Control V. So padding left. Let's make this padding right, because if you see here, you can see it's not in line with the others, and that's the reason why. So for this one, let's just leave the color as it is, black. Font size 1.5. all right, let's make it maybe 1.3. and padding, I'll use the same padding. There we go. Control V, Control S. And if I come back and I reload, there we go. So we have copyright my name is Jack. Let's add some space between this and this because they're so close together, and let's just give them the same font anyway. So padding at the top and bottom, and just with that, if I come and I reload, this should be our final result. So you've seen how you can use CSS to style a web page. Okay, you saw where we started. We started with the HTML. We wrote the HTML. Then we did a bunch of different alterations with CSS to make it look somewhat appealing, and this is what we have ended up with. So if you have any questions, feel very free to let me know. Okay, so for this, you can add them however you want. Anything. If you have another page, you can link to those other pages. I don't have any page, so if you want to link to another page, let me show you. You probably don't know how to do that, so this is how you would do it if you have other pages. So here, let me come inside of my folder, and this is the one I'm working with. So if I copy it and then I rename it, let me rename it to home.html. So if I want to link to home.html, such that maybe if I click on home, it will take me home, or any of these others, so that you can take me home. This is how you do it. I will come here and go into my HTML, and where is my navigation? So here in my navigation, I'll just do something like /home.html. You see that? That will link back to home. If I had another page that maybe is called something else, I could link to it as well. Even that, you can link it to the home page. So if you have other pages, you see, with this one I put this, with this one I didn't put, you're going to see both of them are still going to work. Reload. And then if I come here, click on home. Oh yeah. So here, where is it? For this one, put dot in front of here. I forgot about this. You put a dot, okay? Or it can be without the dot. So if I reload and I come back here, it will be the same thing. Okay? So if you have any questions, let me know, okay? I have tried to rush this section, but I have taught you so much. But I know I did it a little bit fast, so if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out, okay? Okay? Feel free to reach out. And if you want to extend this any further, go ahead and try it and do things your own way, okay? You can add anything here if you want to. So that's it for this. And if you want to see how I will be making this responsive, I want to make it responsive such that on small devices it works well, and that's the next project. So as soon as I'm done editing these videos, I'm going to make it responsive so that it can work on small devices, and I'm going to add that only in the course for HTML and CSS, the complete HTML and CSS tutorial. But you can still see that things are working well, and the reason why it is easy for this to resize nicely is because I mostly used percentages. So you see, even if you don't use media queries are a way to tell small devices and big devices that this is a CSS that will affect some particular element. So you can even see I used mostly percentages and REMs, and still the page can resize in a way that it is usable on a small device, and that's because I mostly used percentages, okay? So of course on a smaller device I would need to do things a little bit differently, but you can see that it's still usable even on a smaller device because I mostly used percentages. So if you have any questions, let me know, and if you want to see how I make it responsive, I will be adding those videos in the full HTML and CSS tutorial. But I do hope and I firmly believe that this knowledge will help you to understand HTML and CSS better. See you next time.